back for your final installment of your NL East MLB 2016 preview. As always, this is your host, the G-Man, and today we're here to talk about the Atlanta Braves. Again, my favorite part about the Atlanta Braves is they keep the Phillies from being the worst team in the NL East. As a noted Phillies fan, it makes me happy that at least we'll be fighting it out for the cellar this year with the Braves. Unlike the Phillies, however, who I think have a future plan set up, the Braves are all over the map. They have some young guys. They have a lot of unusual older talent that doesn't necessarily fit what you'd think for a young up-and-coming team. They do have some excellent pitching prospects, which is pretty traditional for the Braves. But as far as the current and the immediate future of that lineup, and some of the moves they've made are just really odd. But let's go through them, where they stand, and what they might be looking to do as we move forward here. So to start off, they'll have Ender Inciarte. Made a trade to pick him up. I think he's a good player. I think he will always hit to a certain average. I think he could hit for a little more power if he so chose. But I don't think he's a guy you build your team around. Let's say he is a poor man's version of what I can consider Christian Yelich to be long term. So I think, again, good player, but not somebody you build your team around. They brought in Eric Ibar to play shortstop. I can't for the life of me figure that out, unless that's just a bridge, which I'm not as sure that they have a huge shortstop prospect coming up. But they got rid of Andrelton Simmons, who I never was a believer in, and he proved me right last year. But Ibar is just a guy. I think he's a veteran guy. I think he's solid. But so he must just be a stopgap. Not sure what they have coming up. Nick Markakis, another guy, just doesn't make sense for a young team. I think he's a professional hitter. I think he would be a great fourth outfielder DH type. But to be in your top three hitters on your team and doesn't have the power anymore since he got hurt a couple years ago, doesn't make a lot of sense. Freddie Freeman's their first base. He has some long-term future, although I will go on record as saying everyone has always seemed to think he's an absolute animal. I've never thought that. I think he's a good hitter with some power. I think at best he will wind up being kind of a 25 with a 280 average guy. But on this team, I don't think he gets to 25 because I don't think anyone's going to pitch to him. I don't see where the RBIs are coming in because there's nobody going to be on base in front of him. Just a tough go. Continuing the trend of not understanding what exactly they're trying to do, I imagine Hector Olivera is going to play left field for them, and he will probably bat fifth or sixth. Again, I don't get it. They paid him a lot of money, or he got a lot of money. Let's say they didn't pay him a lot of money. Then they traded for him. He's a guy who's 31 years old. I understand he played in Cuba, so he doesn't have as many miles on him. But I don't see it. I don't understand how Oliveira fits in with their team concept. He may very well turn into a long-term decent player, hit you 15 to 17 home runs, about 285. But it's probably not going to be for the Braves. Maybe they're trying to transition him somewhere else and get some value for him. But the puzzlement continues. Batting sixth, I guess you have a Jace Peterson or an A.J. Przinsky. I'm not sure who plays third base for the Braves at this point. It's a weird mix. So Jace Peterson, I think, does have some chance to be a long-term decent player. A.J. Przinsky, I've always liked. His teammates always seem to hate him. He must be a real jerk-off in the locker room. But he wins, and he brings an edge, and he hits. He'll either hit for power or he'll hit for average. Sometimes he'll combine a little bit of both. I think he can play. I think he'll also help take some pressure off their young catching prospect. But the team is just a mishmash. Too many veterans for a team it's going to be as bad as they're going to be. Even their bench, right? You have like a Nick Swisher. You do have Garcia, who's a younger guy who might be their starting third baseman, I guess. But you have the Gordon Beckhams of the world. It just doesn't make a ton of sense to me what they're trying to do. It's a little different in their pitching staff, so that's where they've traditionally built from the bottom up, and that's where I think they're going to try to do so again. Julio Teheran had a rough year last year, but I think his performance was better than his numbers. I think he's a real good starting pitcher. Mike Foltynewicz, they pulled him back and forth between bullpen and starting rotation. He could be a closer if he wanted to. He has tremendous stuff, throws very hard, but I think they want to make him a starter where you get more value out of him. Matt Whistler, I like Matt Whistler. I like him a lot, actually. I think long-term, I think he's going to be very good. He'll probably take his lumps this year a little bit with a team that's not going to score a ton of runs. But I think long term, he's going to be a pretty good player. Bud Norris, your definition of long-term veteran guy who's just going to eat up some innings. In the National League, he'll probably put up a little better numbers than he did being traditionally an American League pitcher before a little stint. He's had stints with Houston, his stints with Baltimore where he had effectiveness, but he'll probably improve his numbers a little, but he does give up a lot of base runners. And Manny Banuelos is another young kid, and I think, again, jury's out. I don't think he has the upside that Whistler does, but with young pitchers, who really knows? He could certainly get better than that. Their bullpen, it's going to be much like the Phillies. I think they have some opportunity. They're going to really look to move guys in the second half because they have like a Jason Grilli who has done it in the past, been injured, been ineffective, come back and been effective again. Maybe they'll look to move him. Jose Vizcaino, who is, I'm sorry, not Jose Vizcaino. I'm channeling a middle infielder from the early aughts to the late 90s from the Astros. I think Vizcaino will be eventually. Roldis Vizcaino will be their closer. I don't know that he's a long-term closer. I do think Fulton may wind up back in that role. So there you have it. Again, not only do I expect them not to be very good this year, let's say about 64 wins, fighting to stay above that 100-loss mark. But I think they have some work to do to kind of change the composition of that organization to get them ready to compete in the future. So let's say go Phils, beat the Braves. That's it from me. I'm your host, G-Man, and I am out.